Blissey is a cute, kind-hearted Pokemon, and one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. I've always used them in Pokemon Unite as the awesome supporter that they are, but I've never used them much in mainline Pokemon games, which is kind of sad. So what if I were to try to beat a mainline Pokemon game by only using Blissey? Well, that's what I'm attempting today, and I'm not just doing it in any Pokemon game, I'm doing it in one of my favorites, Pokemon Legends Arceus. The rules for this challenge are pretty straightforward. I can only use Blissey for major battles, and if they ever faint in battle, I must restart the battle and try again. I'm also not allowed to over-level Blissey or use items during battles, but other than that, everything else is fair game. I'm going to allow myself to use other Pokemon Party for getting items and catching wild Pokemon. This will be important later. If we can beat the main game and get to the credits with only Blissey, it's a win. Also, there aren't as many battles in this game as there are in other Pokemon games like Scarlet and Violet, so this video shouldn't be that long. Before we start, I just want to go over Blissey's stats. Blissey is famous for having the most HP out of any Pokemon ever, which is cool. They also have pretty high special defense as well. However, Blissey's speed isn't good, and their physical attack and defense are terrible. So we're gonna have to rely on special attacking moves to deal damage, and if we ever run into any powerful physical attacker Pokemon, we could be in for some trouble. As usual, be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed watching this video, and now let's take a blast into the past and begin our challenge in the ancient lands of Hijui. So for this challenge, we're just going to skip through the tutorials until we get Weirdeer, then we have our first mission. No, not quelling the Frenzied Cleavor, but actually catching a Blissey to use, or in this case their pre-evolution, Happiny. Happiny can be found in the Ouroboros Tunnel in the Obsidian Fieldlands, but they only appear rarely, so I had to keep running to the cave on Weirdeer, then going back to the campsite and sleeping to reset the spawns. After about 3 hours after starting the game originally, I finally found a shy little Happiny in the Ouroboros Tunnel, and after feeding her some delicious raspberries, we could start our journey together. We started our adventure by exploring the Fieldlands together, and Happiny happily helped me gather some helpful items. Say that sentence 5 times real fast. But here's where I ran into my first problem. I couldn't evolve my Happiny to Chansey yet, as that requires an Oval Stone, and I can't get one in this early point of the game, so I'm going to have to stick with Happiny for now. But once Happiny reached level 17, I decided to take on the Frenzied Cleavor, but before I could do that, I had to battle and beat Arita of the Pearl Clan. I mean, it can't be that bad, right? Oh no, not you! Not only are the evolutions toxic in Pokemon Unite, they're also a huge threat to this challenge. Glaceon greatly outspeeds us, and all it has to move Quick Attack, allowing them to easily hit us several times in a row, and believe me when I say that damage adds up fast. This also results in Happiny getting only a few turns to attack, and well, their attack stats are less than ideal. There's no way I can win this battle with the moves Happiny has right now, but there's a way to fix this. If you go to the training grounds in Jubilife Village, you can pay Zisu to teach your Pokemon some more moves. So now Happiny's moves are Calm Mind, Rest, Baby Doll Eyes, and Fairy Wind. My plan was to use Calm Mind to boost attack and defense, and then Baby Doll Eyes to lower Glaceon's attack, so Happiny could tank the attacks while using Fairy Wind to deal damage, and use Rest to heal when in a pinch. But even with the new moveset for Happiny, I was nowhere close to beating Glaceon. Well, I hoped it wouldn't come to this so early, but if I want to win, I need to grind for grit items to boost Happiny's stats. In Pokemon Legends Arceus, you can get grit items by catching and releasing wild Pokemon. So I removed Happiny from my party so she wouldn't over-level from catching Pokemon. Then I spent an hour or two catching random wild Pokemon and battling alpha Pokemon to get some grit items. The only issue was I didn't unlock the ability to bulk release Pokemon yet, so I had to manually release them one by one, which took forever. But finally, I managed to get a bunch of Grit Dust, Gravel, and even a Grit Rock this early on in the game somehow. I boosted all of Happiny's stats to effort level 6, then it was time to rematch Glaceon. While the upgraded stats definitely helped, Happiny still couldn't do enough damage to knock Glaceon out before they can knock Happiny out. Glaceon's Quick Attack just does too much damage, especially when it hits several times in a row. It really stinks that Glaceon has Quick Attack too, as their other two moves, Powder Snow and Swift, are special moves, so thanks to Happiny's decent special defense, she could easily tank those. But what if there was a way to force Glaceon to not use Quick Attack? That's right, it was time to try PP stalling. I would start with Calm Mind to boost Happiny's defense, then use Baby Doll Eyes to lower Glaceon's attack. Whenever Happiny got low in HP, she would use Rest to heal. The only catch is that I need to get lucky and hope that Happiny doesn't sleep too much because of Rest, or else she won't be able to use her moves when I needed her to. But my plan eventually works, and Glaceon runs out of quick attacks and starts using Powder Snow and Swift, which Happiny has no problem tanking, and this gives her the chance to slowly but surely whittle down Glaceon's health finally getting us the win. Now it's time to quell the frenzied Lord of the Woods, Cleavor. Now I tried battling against him with Happiny when I got the chance, but no, just no. But thankfully, we don't actually have to battle them, and we can just keep throwing bombs until we quell their frenzy. Also, look at this attack. How did it not hit me? So, yeah, that's pretty much all there is to the Obsidian Fieldlands, but there's definitely going to be a lot more due in the upcoming areas, so let's get ready for that. But before we go to the next area, though, there are some things I want to do. We return to the village, and since I can play the Pokédex entry for Happiny, I could buy the Q Happiny Festival Mask, and Happiny seems to like it. After some potato machi dinner, this creepy girl Vessa gives us the odd keystone, so we can search his Yui for wisps that appear at night. I'm definitely not going to find all of them in this challenge, but when the next day arrives, I immediately go back to sleep until nighttime to go out and find 5 wisps in the village. And for collecting 5 wisps, Vessa will reward us with a special item, the Oval Stone, just what we need to evolve Happiny. Happiny happily accepted the Oval Stone I gave them, and then they evolved into Chansey. But it didn't stop there. Happiny, or I guess now Chansey, had grown a strong bond of friendship between me on our journey together so far. It brought them so much joy, they evolved once again into Blissey. This is where the challenge begins for real. Are you ready, Blissey? I know you are. But before we get off to the next area, our rival Akari challenged us to a battle. Her Mime Jr. was annoying because he kept using Hypnosis to put Blissey to sleep, but he deals basically 0 damage, so I could just spam Draining Kisses until they fainted. Pikachu is also a threat, as they were super fast with Quick Attack, but Blissey just barely clutched out the win. So now, let's go to the second area, the Crimson Mirelands. Now, for most of this challenge, I'm probably just going to skip over catching or battling most wild Pokemon until I run into a need to grind. So we just run past all the wild Pokemon and get to the Solatian Ruins, where we meet Warden Caliba, but she won't accept our help until we prove our bond with Blissey. So Volo challenged us to a battle, and he started with Togepi, and I started with, Paras? Oops, sorry Blissey, that wasn't supposed to happen. After restarting with Blissey, Togepi was up first, and they were interesting because they used the same moves Blissey had, Calm Mind and Draining Kiss, but Blissey still prevailed, and then Gible was an easy one-shot with Draining Kiss. We then run to No Good Misfortunes, and the Bandit Coin challenges us with their Toxicroak, a poison and fighting type. This fight wasn't easy, and really showed how deadly fighting type Pokemon are to Blissey, as Rock Smash totally destroyed us. So I went back to Zissou to have Blissey learn more moves, and let me tell you, Blissey can learn a ton of different moves of different types, which is super useful. However, the best all-round move for Blissey is probably Tri-Attack. It's a special attacking, normal type move of 80 power, has a niche bonus of having a chance to inflict a target with certain status effects. I'll probably keep Tri-Attack and Calm Mind most of the time, but I'll switch out Blissey's other moves for different occasions. For Toxicroak, I went into Zen Headbutt, and while it's not a special move, it's still a one-shot thanks to Toxicroak being 4 times weak to Psychic-type moves. After beating the bandits and recovering the wall fragment, Caliba lets us battle Ursaluna to calm him down. Ursaluna did some decent damage, but Water Pulse spam was just enough to take them down first. And just like that, we got Ursaluna, who I probably won't be using this challenge. Yay. But it turns out, Ursaluna wasn't never actually frenzied. It's actually Lilligans that we need to quell, and quelling them was no problem when we completed our mission in the Crimson Mirelands. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to Crimson Mirelands, but don't worry, the next few areas will have more battles that'll be more challenging in this challenge. But before we go to the next area, I decided to do some more clothes shopping, and I bought a pink outfit that I thought would go good with Blissey. Although, I'll be honest, I feel like I look more like a grandma in these clothes. Me and Blissey were excited to go to the beach of the Cobalt Coastlands, but that quickly changed when Glaceon returned, along with a little friend of theirs. I was super close to winning in my first attempt, but then Glaceon survived a strong style Drain Kiss, and then Blissey got attacked 6 times in a row. On my second attempt, though, I tried taking out Eevee immediately, and then the battle was super easy. Well, either way, take that, Glaceon. In order to cross across the ocean, we needed to catch a Dusclops to make fish food, so me and Blissey went to a dreaded Deadwood Haunt, full of spooky ghost Pokemon, as well as a shiny Drifblim, which is actually the first shiny Pokemon I caught when I originally played through Legends Arceus, and unlike my Flash Challenge video, I was actually allowed to catch them, which was cool. For the sake of this challenge, I decided to catch a Dusclops by battling them with Blissey, and it was actually easier than I expected, and I caught them in no time. With Dusclops, we make the fish food, then we get the giant fish we can ride on. But then the Bandit Sisters return, and their Gengar jump scares Growlithe, and the bandits capture them. I won't let that happen to the cute Growlithe. I jump on the fish and swim straight towards Fire Spit Island, only to see the bandits torturing Growlithe to get them to evolve. Not only is this incredibly evil, this is also incredibly stupid. Like, you want to evolve Growlithe, just use a freaking Firestone. There haven't been that many battles in this challenge recently, but now I have to battle against each of the bandit sisters one after another without healing in between, which is way easier said than done. Clover was easy to beat, as her Bomb and Snow doesn't do much damage, but Coin is another story. Her Toxicroak now has Poison Jab, one of the deadliest moves for Blissey, as it deals heavy damage and can inflict poison, causing Blissey to lose HP every turn, and we lost because of that. However, Blissey just learned her signature move, Soft Boiled, allowing them to easily heal herself. So I had Blissey use Zen Headbutt to one-shot Toxicroak, and when Charm battles us with Rhydon, Blissey spams Soft Boil to heal up to the max, and then one-shots Rhydon with Water Pulse. Finally, Charm's second Pokemon, Gengar, comes out, who is surprisingly a one-shot from Zen Headbutt, finally beating the hardest battle so far. No, I'm not talking about you guys, I'm talking about you. Growlithe then evolves into Arcanine and scares away the bandits, but then he becomes Frenzy just like the other noble Pokemon. Thankfully, quelling them wasn't that bad, as I actually got to use Blissey in Noble Battle for once by using Water Pulse. That's pretty cool. Also, I just want to say, out of the 5 noble Pokemon, Arcanine is easily my favorite. The story behind them really hits hard. You even get a glimpse of the ghost of the previous Arcanine that had tragically died. So yeah, I really love Arcanine as well as Blissey, maybe even as much as the game loves Potato Machi. The next morning, we meet Ingo, the best character in this game. We also meet Melly, the worst character in this game. We're tasked to go to the next area, but not before battling Adaman and his Leafeon. Ugh, why do the clan leaders have to have evolutions? As you could expect, this battle is incredibly annoying, but I actually got lucky and won the first try. Take that, Leafeon. Now it's time to go to my favorite area in this game. The Coronet Highlands is easily my favorite place in Pokemon Legends Arceus. There's a bunch of lore there, such as the ruins and the Temple of Sinnoh, which, spoiler alert, will be our final destination later. And of course, you got the best character, Ingo. Being the best character, Ingo guides us through a dark, creepy cave. Being the worst character, Melly removes all torches from the cave, then makes us battle their stinky Skuntank, who has Poison Jab. Yikes. Blissey can't use Zen Headbutt against Skuntank since they're a Dark type, so Bulldoze was our only other option. It doesn't do much damage, but it does slow your opponents down, letting you attack them multiple times sometimes, allowing us to combo Skuntank to death. Melly runs off like a jerk again, but Ingo helps us once more by letting us use Sneasler to climb the mountains, and I also love how he references the HMs from previous Pokemon games, although he does have us battle him to help him regain some of his memory, but that's okay. On my first attempt, I lost due to Tangela paralyzing Blissey, and then Gliscor knocked Blissey out. But on my second attempt, Blissey stalled against Tangela until the paralysis wore off, and then they used Water Pulse to easily take out Gliscor. And with the help of Sneasler, we finally made it to Moonview Arena, only to be stopped by Melly, who challenged us to yet another battle. And it turns out Melly isn't just a big jerk, he's also a big cheater. He straight up 3v1s Blissey, and this is easily the most difficult and painful battle so far. Zubat can put us to sleep with Hypnosis, Scorpy keeps attacking with Bite, and Skuntank deal a lot of damage and poison us with Poison Jab. I tried this battle several times, but it's clear I can't win with Blissey's current stats, so I guess it's time to grind for some more grit items. After catching and manually releasing dozens of Pokemon, I still don't know when you unlock the bulk release option, but I know it exists in this game somewhere. I was finally able to max out most of Blissey's stats, including HP. But while I was at the village pastures releasing Pokemon, some guy said I looked like his grandma. I guess he kind of has a point, so I changed my outfit. This is meant to be the outfit for Cherum, but I think this outfit's color scheme also works well with Blissey. What do you think, Blissey? She seems to like it. So I go back to rematch Melly, and I get lucky and catch a shiny Gligar along the way. Now let's hope I get lucky in the Melly battle. And I lost again. Even with tons of HP, Saturd's effects are brutal for Blissey, especially effects like Poison that damage us between turns. My only hope of winning this fight was to use Charge Beam to one-shot Zubat so I couldn't put Blissey to sleep, then hope that Skuntank doesn't poison us with Poison Jab. So with over 3 hours of getting grit items and attempting this battle over and over, I finally got the win. But it was a weird victory. I knocked out Zubat, and then Skuntank just chose not to attack at all. I'm not quite sure how that works, but hey, I'll gladly take it. After winning that battle, Melly complains and says he didn't have enough time to prepare for that battle, even though I literally spent hours grinding. You had more than enough time, Melly. Adaman comes to humble Melly, then I face off against Electrode, who I quelled with no problem, apart from almost being blown up at the end. And with that, we only have one more place to go, but first, Eileen gets scared by a tiny little Wurmple, and Akari challenges us to another battle. Mr. Mime used Hypnosis, but that was nothing a little bit of stalling could fix. Staravia was actually really funny, as while Blissey kept healing, they ended up killing themselves with Brave Bird. Pikachu almost killed Blissey with Iron Tail, but Bulldoze was just enough to clutch out the win. Man, the battles at Akari are always really clutch. We arrive at our final area, the barren world of the Alabaster Icelands. We find Garrick doing squats, and he challenges us with his Ice-type Pokemon. It was an easy win with Fire Punch, although I don't exactly know how Blissey punches with her tiny hands, but whatever. We need to get Braviary to fly to the top of Avalug's Legacy, but Sabi makes us play Chase at her first. We eventually arrive at the mysterious Snow Point Temple, and for once, I actually did the puzzle there instead of cheating and looking it up online, I swear. And after all of that, Sabi has his battle against Rhyperior, Magmortar, and Electivire all at once. At first glance, I thought this battle would be super hard, or impossible even. But believe it or not, I actually won on my first try. Rhyperior goes down easily to Water Pulse. Electivire takes more time to kill, but I got super lucky and never got paralyzed even though he hit me with Thunder Punch several times, and then I eventually took him out. Oh, and Magmortar was a complete joke. They do next to no damage and are another victim to Water Pulse. But Sabi still isn't finished, as she has us battle Braviary to prove we're worthy to ride with them, but thankfully Calm Mind and Shadow Ball was all it took to win. And with that, we can fly around on Braviary and get the Eternal Ice needed to make the Noble Avalug's favorite foods, then we can quell the 5th and final Noble Pokemon. However, before reporting back to Kamado, we get a special request all about Blissey, so we have to do that first. We venture out to the Icelands, only to be attacked by an Abomasnow, but Blissey not only stopped Abomasnow from hurting us, but they also healed them afterwards. Blissey is just that kind. But I guess that's it. After reporting to Kamado, we successfully quelled all the Frenzied Noble Pokemon, so we beat the game, right? Uh-oh, that doesn't look good. Now the sky's all red, and Commander Kamado is crazy and thinks me and Blissey are responsible for this. I mean, come on, just look at Blissey. There's no way this happy, adorable Pokemon would do anything evil like this. We get exiled from the village, and we try seeking help from the Wardens, but Leon and Mai sadly can't help us. But thankfully, Volo can. He takes us to the ancient retreat where we meet Kalgita, and she tells us a story about 3 Pokemon from 3 lakes that could potentially stop the disaster looming. We then team up with Volo and Arita to go to the lakes, and thankfully my Arc Phone has the power to magically create an entrance to the caves of each lake. Cool. However, we have to battle and beat an Alpha Pokemon at each lake first. The first lake had us battle Hijui and Gudra, who went down easily to Drain Punch. Then we shared our happy emotions of Blissey to Mesprit, and we get Mesprit's Plume. The second lake had us fight Hijui and Zoroark. It was tedious because I didn't have any super effective moves for them, but we eventually beat him with Dazzling Gleam and Draining Kiss. Uxie then gives us a quiz about Pokemon Eyes for some reason, but once we pass the quiz, we get Uxie's Claw. Finally, the third lake had us battle Overquill. At first, I felt overwhelmed because he could poison us, but then I noticed that every second attack, he would always use Double Edge for some reason, so I just let him spam that while Blissey kept healing until Overquill killed himself. And then after throwing a bunch of bombs at Azulf, we finally get Azulf's Fang. The 3 Lake Guardians give us the red chain, and with that in hand, we head up towards our final destination, the Temple of Sinnoh. But before we can get to the top, we get stopped by Benny, who's secretly a ninja. And let me tell you, he may as well be the final boss of the main game in this challenge. Miss Megas is no threat and easily goes down to Shadow Ball, but the rest of Benny's team is no joke. Throughout this challenge, the biggest threats have been Pokemon that can poison us, attack us multiple times with quick attacks, and get super effective hits with fighting type moves. And guess what? Benny and Sneasler is basically all those Pokemon combined into one. Sneasler will always start by using Quick Attack in close combat, and close combat is probably the worst move for Blissey. It does a big chunk of damage to them, and that's with Calm Mind's defense buff. Without the defense buff, close combat is enough to either knock out Blissey or get them into the red, one hit away from dying. If you thought that wasn't bad enough, well, even if you somehow managed to defeat Sneasler, Benny will send out Gallade, another fighting-type Pokemon that's super fast and immediately Drain Punches us to death. I used more grit items on Blissey and basically maxed out all her stats, then I attempted this fight several times, but I could never get past the Gallade. Every time I knocked out Sneasler, Gallade would just instantly beat Blissey as they're super fast, and even if I could survive one hit, I barely get any chances to heal, and Gallade's damage output beats Blissey's healing output. Now, I had an idea. What if I mastered more moves so I could use a Jowl Style and maybe outspeed Sneasler and Gallade? But then I ran into a huge problem. When Kamado went off to the Temple of Sinnoh, he brought the entire security course with him, including Zissou, and since she isn't here, I literally can't master any moves. So, is this it? Or are we just soft locked like this forever? Well, there is one thing we could try. Remember how my PP stalled that Glaceon back when Blissey was still a Happiny? Well, maybe we can try the same thing here. Thankfully, Miss Megas only knows special attacks, so tanking her attacks was no problem at all, while spamming Baby Doll Eyes and sometimes Calm Mind and Soft Boiled. Another interesting and helpful thing about Miss Megas is that her hypnosis putting us to sleep actually proved to be useful, as it made Blissey sometimes not use the move, which saved her power points while draining Miss Megas' power points. Once Miss Megas was out of moves, Benny will call her back and send out Sneasler, and since he called back a Pokemon, he doesn't get to go first, allowing Blissey to go first and one-shot Sneasler with Zen Headbutt. Oh yeah, for some reason I don't have the footage of this, but just take my word for it. But it doesn't really matter anyways, as I still couldn't take out Gallade before they took out Blissey. I attempted this fight for over 5 hours, and still couldn't do it. Now there's a good chance this battle is probably possible if I could Master Zen Headbutt and Shadow Ball for Blissey, but again, I can't do that right now, which is unfair. To be fair, I could have gone to Zissou earlier before the disaster and mastered my moves before she despawned from that spot. So to make up for this, I kind of broke the no item rule and used an Oxivation item to help me beat this battle. This item obscures Blissey for 5 turns, making moves have a chance to miss them, which is exactly what happened with Sneasler. Gallade got 1 hit in, but missed a 2nd hit, allowing Blissey to finally take them out. Oh, and there's also Gardevoir, but they were super easy to beat, and they do basically no damage to special moves, giving Blissey all time in the world to heal Soft Boiled and KO Gardevoir with Shadow Ball. After all that pain, Benny tells us that Pokemon are truly terrifying creatures, and you know what? I'm actually starting to believe that for some Pokemon. When we finally arrive at the Temple of Sinnoh, Commander Kamado challenged us to a battle. This battle can only be summed up as more tedious and hard. Oh, and also way easier than Benny. But anyways, Braviary went down easily to Shadow Ball, and Graveler to Water Pulse, but Snorlax was super annoying, as it took forever to knock them out. At least they're pretty slow, so I can heal when I need to. Hey, we've got 2 supports in Pokemon Unite fighting right now, but in the end, Blissey eventually beat Clefable, then Kamado finally respects us. Thank you. Also, hi Zissou, thanks for nothing. Now it's time to use the Red Chain, catch Palkia, and save his Yui. It was actually a lot easier than I expected, as Blissey could just spam Draining Kisses, deal decent damage, and heal. Then I got lucky and caught it on the first try. So is that it? Do we beat the game now? You've got to be kidding me. Now we have to find a way to stop Dialga. After doing some quick research with the professor, we need to get a piece of Origin Ore to craft the Origin Ball to catch Dialga. But then that bandit sisters rudely interrupt us. Like, come on, the world is literally in danger. Why do you have to stop us now? So I had to battle Charm, and it was honestly really easy. Just Water Pulse Rhydon and Zen Headbutt Gengar like before. And I know this seems stupid, but this is actually the last battle for this challenge, as the final fight against Dialga doesn't require us to battle them, just throw the bombs like with the Noble Pokemon. So that's the end of the run, and we've confirmed that it's probably possible to beat Pokemon Legends Arceus with only Blissey. I sadly couldn't beat Benny without items, but I noticed that on one attempt, Gallade barely survived a Shadow Ball, and if I got a lucky crit there, I'm 99% sure I could've won. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching this video. Definitely be sure to like and subscribe, as I'm sure it'll make Blissey happy. But now, me and Blissey are gonna have some fun at the beach, and we'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.